Okay, so let's dive in. We all do it, right? Dream big.
Absolutely. Have these great ideas, aspirations.
Maybe even, scribble down a New Year's resolution or something. But here's the thing this article we're looking at really gets. Well, setting the goal. That feels kind of easy
Yeah,
sometimes.
the initial buzz, the excitement.
Exactly. It's the doing it part, actually turning that idea into something real. That's where life gets in the way. Competing priorities, things just popping up unexpectedly.
It gets messy. And that's precisely why we're digging into this source today. The Better Up article, How to Set Goals for Success and 8 Steps to Actually Achieve Them.
Right. Our mission here is basically to pull out the really practical stuff from it, the core knowledge.
Yeah, the insights that can actually help you bridge that gap, between just
Yeah.
thinking about it and, well, getting it done.
Because the article really emphasizes how powerful this whole process can be if you approach it intentionally.
Definitely. It's not just checking boxes. They talk about boosting confidence, increasing motivation.
Fostering real personal growth, yeah. And even triggering new habits, new behaviors.
And crucially, building that momentum and keeping it going, it shifts you from just wishing to deliberate action.
Okay, so what are we actually going to unpack from this article today?
Well, we'll look at what goal setting fundamentally is, according to them.
And dive into their 8 steps for actually doing it, setting, and achieving.
Right. Plus, we'll touch on some of the theory behind it, why these methods work.
The psychology bit makes sense. And why it's important in the first place.
Exactly. And getting clear on what a goal is versus what it isn't, they make some useful distinctions there.
Oh, okay. And maybe touch on the different types of goals, too.
Yeah. Personal, professional, all that. Think of it as getting a kind of blueprint and toolkit from this one source.
For practical guide.
Based on research, too. They mentioned over 1,000 studies showing that setting high specific goals really does improve performance.
Wow. Okay. That hooks me. So it's not just theory. We're talking practical tools they mention.
Yeah.
Like SMART goals.
Yep. SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound, classic framework.
And they give an example, right? Something about customer satisfaction.
Yeah, a really clear one. Get into that. And other things like the impact of just writing your goals down. There's a study on that.
Interesting.
And breaking big goals into smaller pieces. They call it a goal ladder.
Goal ladder. I like that. Makes it less daunting.
Plus, timelines. Thinking about obstacles before they hit.
Ah, foresight.
And getting an accountability partner. Hugely important.
Okay. And you mentioned the theory behind it.
Yeah, goal-setting theory. 5 main principles the article touches on. Clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, and task complexity. Understanding those helps you see why the steps work.
Got it. So it connects the how and the why. All right, let's jump into those steps then. Step 1, according to the article, visualize success.
Now, this might sound a little fluffy, maybe, but they frame it very practically. It's about using your imagination actively, almost like training your brain, making the end result feel real and achievable right now.
Right.
They suggest using all your senses, maybe even writing a personal vision statement to really nail down what success looks like for you.
So less wishful thinking, more mental rehearsal, clarifying the target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which leads perfectly into step 2.
Yeah.
Set SMART goals.
Right. The acronym we mentioned, lots of people have probably heard of it.
For sure. But the article stresses its power, ties back to that research-specific, challenging goals driving better results. SMART gives you the map.
So S specific, no ambiguity.
Measurable. How do you track it? How do you know you got there?
Yeah.
You need numbers, metrics.
Attainable. Can you actually do it? Realistic given your time, resources.
Are relevant. Does it actually matter? Does it align with your bigger aims or values?
Makes sense. And T time bound, the deadline, puts a bit of pressure on.
Creates focus, urgency. Yeah. And their example is great increase in customer satisfaction by 15% in the next 2 quarters.
Ah, okay. Super clear. You know the target, 15%. How to measure it, ratings. It's presumably attainable, relevant to the business.
And it has that deadline 2 quarters. That structure is just really solid.
Definitely powerful. Okay, step 3 is write down your goals. Seems simple.
Simple, but apparently effective. The article mentions a study by Dr. Gail Matthews.
Yeah. What does it find?
Basically, that the act of physically writing goals down makes you significantly more likely to actually achieve them.
Wow, just writing them.
Puts it out there, makes it more concrete, less like just a floating thought. It solidifies your intention.
Okay, I can see that.
And interestingly, that same study, as the article notes, suggested sharing those written goals makes you even more likely to succeed, which ties into a later step.
Ah, the accountability piece later. Good connection. Okay, so goals are written. Step 4 is about the how, outlining the action plan. They talk about breaking it down.
Yes, into smaller, manageable steps. That's the goal ladder idea.
Right.
Your big goal is the top run. Each little action needed to reach it is a run below it.
Like climbing steps.
Exactly. And they suggest turning this into a real to-do list, maybe even putting due dates on the smaller steps. It makes the whole thing feel much more achievable.
Yeah, it takes the overwhelm out of it. Makes a mountain feel like, well, a staircase. Okay, step 5, setting a timeline. And they stress making it realistic.
Yeah, this is where you got to be honest with yourself. It's easy to be ambitious with deadlines, but if your goal is, say, writing a book in a year, but you typically only manage half a chapter every couple of months.
Then that timeline might be setting you up for failure unless something big changes.
Right. You have to factor in your reality, your other commitments, your actual capacity.
Honesty about capacity. Got it. Which flows into step 6. Identify potential obstacles. Proactive problem solving.
Exactly. Foresight. Thinking ahead. What could realistically derail me?
Like lack of time, money, maybe needing help from someone else who might be busy.
All of those. The article suggests listing these potential barriers. Once they're listed, you can start brainstorming ways around them or contingency plans.
So you're not blindsided when something pops up, like scouting the trail ahead. Smart. Then, step 7, which you hinted at, find an accountability partner.
Crucial step, according to the source. Going after something big alone.
Yeah.
It can feel isolating. Motivation can dip.
Holy.
So having someone, a friend, colleague, coach, family member, who knows your goal and checks in, it provides support, encouragement.
Maybe a gentle nudge when you need it.
Absolutely. Just sharing progress and struggles regularly really boosts commitment, helps keep you on track. It adds that layer of sort of positive social pressure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and the final step, step 8, reflect and adjust.
Because things rarely go exactly to plan.
Forever, life happens.
Priorities might shift, or maybe one of your planned steps just isn't working out the way you thought.
So this is about checking in with yourself.
Regularly. Pausing, reviewing progress, seeing what is working, what isn't, and being willing to tweak things. The plan, the timeline, maybe even the mini steps.
So flexibility over rigidity. Adapt rather than just quit.
Spot on. It's about course correction, not abandonment.
Okay, wow. Those 8 steps are really practical. Visualization, SMART goals, writing it down, goal ladder, realistic timeline, obstacles, accountability, and reflecting, adjusting. A very clear path.
A really solid framework.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned, there's also the why behind it, the psychology.
Right, the goal-setting theory the article brings up. What's the core idea there?
It comes from motivational psychology. It basically explains why setting specific and challenging goals work so well.
How does it work?
It suggests these kinds of goals direct our attention, make us put in more effort, help us persist longer when things get tough, and even encourage us to develop new strategies to overcome challenges.
So it triggers problem solving too. And the article breaks this theory down into 5 principles.
Yeah, 5 key elements. First is clarity.
Meaning the goal has to be clear, unambiguous.
Precisely. Which is why SMART, step 2, is so effective. It builds in that clarity.
Yeah.
No guesswork.
Gotcha. So clarity links straight back to SMART. What's principle number 2? Challenge.
This one's interesting. Goals need to be challenging enough to motivate, to stretch you. Easy goals just don't drive the same level of performance.
Right. If it's a walk in the park, where's the satisfaction?
Yeah.
Or the effort?
Exactly. But critically, it still needs to feel attainable. Too hard and you just give up.
Yeah.
So challenging but achievable.
That balance
Yeah.
makes sense. Third principle, commitment.
This is huge. You have to actually be committed to the goal. Buy-in is essential.
And how do the steps help with that?
Well, writing it down. Step 3 makes it feel more official. Making it relevant in SMART, step 2, ensures it matters to you. Visualizing success, step 1, builds desire.
And the accountability partner, step 7.
Big time. That externalizes the commitment. All these things reinforce your internal drive.
Okay, so several steps feed into building commitment. What's next? Feedback.
You need to know how you're doing. Regular feedback on your progress is key.
Why?
It tells you if you're on track, helps you adjust your approach if needed, and honestly, seeing progress is motivating in itself.
Right, and that connects to reflecting and adjusting, step 8, and checking in with your accountability partner, step 7. They provide built-in feedback moments.
Exactly. They close the loop. And the last principle, task complexity.
Meaning?
If the goal itself is complex, involves lots of steps or parts, It needs to be broken down.
The goal ladder again. Step 4.
Directly related. Breaking down complexity prevents overwhelm. It gives you clear, manageable chunks to focus on.
It's really cool how those 5 principles, clarity, challenge, commitment, feedback, task complexity, actually underpin the 8 practical steps.
It shows the steps aren't just random tips. There's solid psychological reasoning behind them.
Which brings us to why bother with all this structure and intentionality anyway. The article makes a case for the importance of goal setting, right?
It does. It really boils down to the impact it has.
Yeah.
They say it provides a clear sense of direction, like a compass,
Helps you know where you're going.
and helps you see the bigger picture, how today's small actions connect to that larger vision you have.
Keeps things in perspective.
Provides essential motivation, too. Having that concrete thing to aim for keeps you going.
Definitely.
And maybe most powerfully, they argue it gives you greater control over your future. You're not just drifting, you're actively steering.
Yeah, putting you in the driver's seat. I like that framing.
And to steer effectively, you need to know what you're aiming for. The article helps clarify the terms here, too. What is a goal?
Right, because we use words like objective, resolution, mission. How does the article define a goal?
Generally, as larger scale, often time-sensitive, it represents that desired future state you're working towards, your main target.
Okay, the big target. How's that different from an objective?
An objective, in their view, is smaller, more immediate. It's one of the steps, one of the rungs on that goal ladder, step 4, that helps you reach the bigger goal.
Got it. Goal is the destination. Objective is a milestone on the way. What about a resolution?
Often more temporary, maybe less concrete than a well-defined SMART goal. Think New Year's resolutions that fade.
Okay. And a mission statement.
That's broader still, more about enduring purpose or values, not usually tied to a specific outcome or deadline like a goal is.
So goals are specific, time-bound targets. Objectives are the steps. Resolutions are kind of fuzzy aims. Missions are broad purpose statements. That clarity is helpful.
Definitely. And these principles apply across the board. The article lists common types of goals just to show that versatility.
Like what?
Well, the basic short-term versus long-term distinction, but also by life area. Personal goals, professional ones, financial, academic, social goals.
So the same 8 steps, the same SMART framework, the underlying theory. It works whether you're aiming to, I don't know, run a 5K next month or save for retirement over decades.
Pretty much. The scale and context change, but the fundamental process for setting yourself up for success is consistent, according to this source.
It really makes it feel accessible and applicable. So we've covered a lot. What goal setting is, those 8 practical steps, the 5 principles of the theory, why it's important, defining the terms, the different types. It feels like a really thorough look based on this Better Up piece at how you move from just having an idea to actually making it happen.
Yeah, it equips you with a structured approach. It's
Yeah.
about being intentional with your growth, your development.
And near the end, the article has this line that really stuck with me. It says, without goals, your purpose is simply an unfulfilled dream.
Oof, that's quite a statement.
It is. And it makes you think, doesn't it? Kind of prompts a question for you listening.
What unfulfilled dreams might you be holding on to right now?
And maybe more pointedly, how could some of these things, we've talked about the SMART structure, that goal ladder idea, just writing it down, finding someone to be accountable to.
Or even just understanding those core principles like clarity and commitment.
Right. How could applying even one of those things help you start moving one of those dreams from unfulfilled towards in progress?
Because as the source implies, real growth, real achievement, it takes that deliberate action. It takes applying these kinds of ideas consistently. It doesn't just happen by wishing.